हरि ओम। सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। Hari Om all. Today we have gathered here for Kathopanishad Parayan on this occasion of Mahalaya Amavasya. Before we begin with the Parayan, let us understand briefly the importance of Pitrupaksha. Why do we worship ancestors? And in these modern times, what does it signify? So as we all know, we are here today because of our ancestors. And I am not just talking biologically, but the legacy that they have, kept behind. The traditions that they have followed and passed on. The knowledge that they have preserved. The culture that they have nurtured. Because of that, we all are living happily. And as a duty, we must pay our respect, gratitude to all our ancestors. See, the beauty of Indian culture is that it is founded on the principle of duty and not on the principle of rights. This difference we need to understand very clearly. In Indian culture, we always focus on what is my duty, not what I should get, what I should do. And according to that, we have number of scriptures explaining to us what exactly is our duty. Generally, we speak of 5 runas, 5 debts that we have and which we need to pay off by doing 5 types of yajnas. Very famous concept of Pancha Mahayajna. The runa that we have from the natural forces, Deva runa. The runa debt that we have from our ancestors, Pitru runa. The debt that we have from the people around us, because of whom we are able to live happily. There are farmers working, police officers, medical staff, all of them are doing their job, therefore we can live. So we have debts towards them also, Manushya runa. Not only human beings but other beings also. We have studied in physics the natural cycle, the humans are dependent on all the other species, and if any one of them don't do their job, we will be extinct. So we have debt towards them also, which is called as Bhuta runa. And the 5th one is called as Rishi runa. The debt towards great scholars, great rishis who lived their life to protect knowledge and to pass on the knowledge. So to pay off these 5 debts, we have to do 5 duties. So Deva Yajna, the duty towards the natural forces, towards deities, involves doing daily puja, Sandhya Vandana, and worshipping God, etc. on the special occasions. Now Navratri is starting from tomorrow. That all comes as Deva Yajna. Then we have Pitru Yajna, in which we do Shraddha Karma, Tarpana, etc. etc. Towards other beings, other human beings, we should do social service, we should help them, contribute towards the society, whatever we have, share with all the other people. That is Manushya Yajna. Towards other beings also, we need to feed them, take care of them, not trouble them unnecessarily. And towards our rishis, this is called as Bhuta Yajna. And Brahma Yajna or Rishi Yajna signifies our duty to preserve the knowledge. And therefore we must study. Swadhyayanma Pramadaha, says the Upanishad. Should never be careless about study. We should study the knowledge that has come in our culture and pass it on to the next generation. So all these 5 duties are integral part of day-to-day life of all those who are following Indian culture. And in that, one of the important aspect is this Pitru Yajna, duty towards our ancestors. Now, our rishis were so, they used to go in so much detail that the philosophy is taught and practiced without even knowing that it is philosophy that is being practiced. Therefore, we have number of actions that are told. And as children, and we used to always wonder, why are they doing like this? We will always tell, before you start the food, take little bit of everything that you have made in a small, either in a banana leaf or in a small plate, and keep it outside for crow, kakabadi. And then when asked, why are we doing that? They will say, this is for Pitrus, this is for ancestors. Now, as a child, I used to always wonder that are our ancestors roaming as crows? But now that we have grown up a little bit and we have developed this intelligence that we can reflect, we can study, very interesting things we come to know. And that is, they say that the crows can see the souls. We with our eyes cannot see the souls because our eyes don't have that faculty, because they don't have gross body, simple. So we can't see, but they see. And they can feel. And therefore it is said, through the crows, you are propitiating the ancestors. That is the concept. And that's why in many places in Maharashtra, etc., on the 10th day after somebody's death, they keep rice. And if a crow touches that rice, means that the person who is dead, all the wishes are fulfilled. And if the crows are not touching the rice, means some wish is pending. So all the family members have to openly speak out what may be the wish of that person. That don't worry, we will take care of your children. Don't worry, we will get your daughter married. And sometimes we used to see that when some particular wish is said, the crow will come and touch. Now, as children, when we used to see all these things, we used to say, what is this? Unnecessary. This is just, like that. But the point is, when it comes to death and what happens after death, none of us really have any knowledge. Because those who are dead cannot tell, thank God. If they come and tell also, we will be little scared only. And those who are alive, they don't know what happens after death. In all such matters which are beyond our ken of knowledge, Vedas are the authority. Alaukika Vishaye Vedaha Pramanam. And the Veda speaks about all these things in detail as to what should be done. So according to the scriptures, it is a duty of family members to pay respect to the ancestors, especially to the person who has just left the body. And therefore we have 13 days after the death, some rituals, sometimes 15 days in some places 10 days, etc. Why it is like that? Because according to the Vedas, they say that the person after leaving the body, we say the jiva doesn't die. The body is left behind, that is what is called as death. Then that jiva goes to Pitruloka first. The loka, the world of ancestors. And from there, according to the punya, papa, etc., the jiva takes up different births. Now, in Pitruloka, 1 day in Pitruloka is equal to 15 days on earth. And therefore, it is said that by the time the jiva goes to Pitruloka, in that transition period, that jiva is there around the house. And therefore, strict rules are followed, and for 15 days, we have different rituals to make sure that the jiva's journey onwards is happy and comfortable. Now, with very specific reason, I am using the word jiva and not soul. Because according to Vedanta, according to Indian thought, jiva and soul is different. Soul is a very different kind of term which we generally don't use. So, we will stick to jiva. Imagine it like this. Suppose your son or daughter has gone abroad to study. Now, when they go abroad to study, they cannot earn money because they have got visa for learning. They cannot earn. So, what about their expenses, etc.? So, we from here, from one country, put some money into their account, which they can, use in the other country. Correct? Nowadays, this is done very commonly. Now, what happens in this Shraddha Karma or Tarpana is similar to this. The jiva that has left the body behind and has taken the, next journey, we as a gesture of goodwill offer Shraddha. In Shraddha, you must have seen, rice balls are offered. In Tarpana, water is offered. It is like the currency. The currency that we have in this world is different from the currency that can be used for Pitruloka, etc., isn't it? So, it is like that where we, as our duty, offer these things to that soul, to that jiva, so that the jiva can continue the journey comfortably. Now, whenever we say like this, there are many doubts that are raised. How do we know whether that jiva is there in Pitruloka or not? How do we know that whether that jiva has taken next birth? And whatever we are really offering, is it really reaching them? All these doubts come up. Now, there can be logical answers also can be given. I just explained to you one, way of looking at it, that your son or daughter is in different country and therefore you put money in their bank which they can use. But the basis of all this is faith that we must understand. And therefore, the word used itself is Shraddha Karma. Shraddha comes from Shraddha only. So, unless we have faith, the activity that is being performed is of no use. And if we have faith, real faith, then even if there are little mistakes in the actions, will not matter much if we have that strong faith. So, all these activities must be performed with faith. That is very important. So, that 15 days after the death, we have different rituals of Shraddha, etc. Then for 1 year, we have Masika Shraddha. Every month on that particular tithi of the death, we do Shraddha Karma. And after 1 year is over, then Varshika Shraddha is there. Yearly on that month, on that tithi, we do Varshika Shraddha. This is what is generally followed in Indian culture. Now, in a year, these 15 days, which are concluding today, Bhadrapada Krishna Paksha, the dark fortnight of Bhadrapada, 7th month according to the Hindu calendar, these 15 days are called as Pitru Paksha. What is the speciality of this Pitru Paksha? It is believed that during these 15 days, our ancestors visit us. Though we don't come to know, but they are visiting us just to see whether everything is fine, going on nicely in our life. So for them it is only one day, I told you. So for one day they have come here, but for us it is 15 days. And therefore during this Pitru Paksha, this Shraddha Karma is done irrespective of whether the person has passed away in that Pitru Paksha or not. On whichever tithi the person has passed away, that tithi in this 15 days, that Shraddha is performed. In some places, every day Shraddha is performed. And in some places, because we don't know the tithi also of many times, the last day, that is today, Amavasya day, Mahalaya Amavasya day, the Shraddha is performed. This is basically the concept. Now, we are here not going to do elaborate ritual of Shraddha, nor are we going to do Tarpana like we did last year. But what we are going to do here is Kathopanishad Parayana. And in this Kathopanishad Parayana, why we are doing that? There are many reasons. One of the main reasons is in Kathopanishad, the first chapter that we are going to read, Prathamadhyaya, 3 Vallis, it ends with one mantra which says that if a person recites this Upanishad, this first chapter, during the time of Shraddha, in the assembly of wise, etc., all the wishes are fulfilled and the ancestors for whom the person is wishing, they get good gati. Their journey becomes comfortable. And that's why we are going to chant this Kathopanishad first chapter. Now one more thing. How do we understand this in present times? Nowadays, we don't even know our Gotra, our Nakshatra. We don't know rituals. See, in the olden days, the Shraddha Karma, etc. used to be done at home. No other priest is required to come because the person who is doing would know all the rituals that are to be performed and would do on their own. Nowadays, we are not familiar with all these things. So, how to understand this concept of worshipping ancestors? One very important thing in all this, as I said, is faith. And with that faith, even if we mentally wish that our ancestors, wherever they are, maybe they have got a next birth, maybe they are in different lokas, maybe they are on earth, we don't know. Wherever they are, may they be happy. Even if we can wish that, that will be very good. Point number 1. Point number 2. It is not only about the ancestors who have passed away. Our duty towards Pitrus is also there towards our parents, towards our grandparents, towards our other family members, in-laws. For all of them, the duty is there. And therefore, it is also a day of reminder for us that it is absolutely must for us to take care of our parents, grandparents, in-laws, etc. There is no option. Please get this point very clear. Our culture doesn't just teach us to worship the ancestors after they are dead. No. Our culture says that they should be worshipped and respected and taken care of even when they are alive. And in today's time especially, let us all please understand this point that it is our duty, bounden duty to take care of them. It is not an optional task. It is absolutely must for us. So on this day, please reflect on this, that it is a must and I must do it. See, they took care of us when we didn't have any sense also. We had no control over our body when we were born, and that time they took care of us. Now when they need us, don't you think it is our responsibility to take care of them? And it is not that we are doing a great favor on them by taking care of them. It's not like that. It is our duty. Therefore, worshipping ancestors includes this. Point number 2. Point number 3, it also includes taking care of our children because they are from the same lineage. So how do I pay respect to my ancestors? By giving to my children what they gave to us. So our traditional values, our family traditions, pass it on to the next generation. And that is also not an option for us, it is must for us. This is our duty. We are not talking about anything that is very great. This is something that we all must do. So on this day of Mahalaya Amavasya, when we are worshipping our ancestors, please note all these points. It is not just for those ancestors who have passed away. Of course, towards them we have, lot of responsibility, and therefore we must pay our respect to them, no doubt. But it also is for those elders who are there, taking care of them with respect, which is very important. Many times when they become old, we think that their utility value is not there, and therefore we start disrespecting it. It's not acceptable actually, not at all to be done. So taking care of them with respect, taking care of the next generation and giving the values and knowledge to them is also part of this worship of ancestors. On this day, let us remind ourselves of all these points and take a vow that we will do this as our duty. Now coming to Vedanta, somebody had asked me this question that according to Vedanta, everybody gets the next life, gets the next gati according to punya papa. So whatever we do, are we adding to their punya? Can somebody else add to somebody else's punya? This is a doubt that is often raised because we are Vedantis and we think. It's a good doubt. But you see, it's not that we are adding on to their punya. It is actually their punya only because of which we remember them. Even after death, they are remembered means that they must have done something good, something right when they were alive. So what we are doing, whether it is Shraddha, whether it is Tarpana, is their punya only. It's not that we are adding to their punya. Transfer of punya is not possible, in Vedanta. So it is not that we are doing something for them. It is actually their punya only that is fructifying like this. We know the story of Ramayana, and when Ravana was killed, Vibhishana had a doubt whether Ravana's Antyakarma should be done, whether the last rite should be done or not. And he was not ready to do. He told Sri Rama also that, why should we do last rites of such a criminal, who has done all the wrong things? Why should we do? Sri Rama said, he might have done whatever wrong, It is our duty to do last rites. Because he is dead now. Now once that person is dead, don't think of what bad that person has done. As a duty, do it. Sri Rama goes to an extent to say that if you won't do, I will. Because he was a Brahmana also. So it is a must that the duty is followed. Of course, Vibhishana does it. But the point is what? Don't think about whether they have done good things or bad things. That is up to them. And if we are doing Shraddha Karma, it is out of their punya only. As a duty, we must do it. Also, if you think carefully, this Shraddha Karma or all these activities, today also that Parayana that we are doing, has dual effect. One, of course, is because of their punya, they are getting good gati, that we are remembering them. And second, because we are following duty, we won't fall into a place where we have missed our duty. In Vedas, there are two types of sins. One is called as Papa and another is called as Pratyavaya. Papa means doing what is wrong, and Pratyavaya means not doing what I should do. By doing my duty, this Pratyavaya I am not getting. And therefore, we must do this. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. बोलिए श्री विष्णु भगवान की, सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की। ओम हर हर नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव। सर्वत्र गोविंद नाम संकीर्तनम गोविंदा गोविंदा। स्वामिये
शरणमय्यप्पा।